Well, Banarawa is setting up clusters of neighbourhoods in this belt where, there's a floodplain that exists. The whole purpose is that neighbours will support their neighbours in times of disaster. So not just floods, it could be, cyclones or bushfires. So yes, there are first responders and, they do a great job, but really your first port of call will be your neighbours. So we're encouraged to know each other better, to understand who in our local area has vulnerabilities or might need greater support. So we're grouped together. So our area is called Oxley Creek Estate. So we have, as I said, about 180 houses in our estate. And each area will have one or more, but in our case, just one, volunteer emergency coordinator. And they will, in times of disaster, sort of run coordinated responses to disasters in that neighbourhood area. So the first thing I did is to take over a local Facebook group that was largely inactive. That was for Oxley Creek Estate. So I created a page called Oxley Creek Estate Emergency Coordination, and I post under that page on that group. I also set up a new email account with a corresponding sort of name. And I started pushing out communications on that Facebook group, letting everyone know that we were going to start coming door knocking. So I designed a survey as well that was intended to collect information from any residents in this state who wanted to participate. And that was with the purpose of matching residents in the estate who could help with residents who needed help. So a large area of our estate does flood, for example, but there are pockets that don't. So in my street, for example, the top end and the bottom end both flood, but the middle doesn't flood, and I live in the middle. My parents live next door, and then I have a brother a few houses up. So our houses don't flood. So in a flood situation, we're capable of helping our neighbours. We've also been in this street for about 40 years as well. So we've got plenty of experience with the last floods, and we know, which houses are going to be most vulnerable, and we know most of our neighbours as well. So we're kind of perfectly placed, to take on that role. So I designed this survey, and it collects information about, does your house flood? How many people and how many pets are in your house? Do you have an evacuation plan for both you and your pets? What sort of equipment do you have that would be helpful to you or others in a flood? So whether that's generators, kayaks, could you cook? Could you put other people in your house for a short period? Can you put other people's cars on your land for a short period? All of these sorts of things, and people can, opt in or opt out. I entered all this in a database that I keep securely, and then in an emergency situation we can kind of match people up. And there's a social aspect to the role as well. It's not just about disasters. So a week or two ago we had a big social function. We did get the SES out, and they did sandbag demonstrations and things, and we did tree plantings as well. So it's kind of got multiple aspects to it. Now that I'm sort of more formalised in this role, and it's being legitimised by Banarawa, I think people are more willing to kind of participate, particularly in the supporting neighbours. But when Cyclone Alfred came, it was literally a week after I finished door knocking the final house. So actually the timing was really coincidental, but good in a way. And then I was able to start pushing out kind of local evidence-based information, things like what the Oxley Creek levels were doing at that time. Because certainly the water was rising. We didn't flood a third time, but it did come very close. So there was a lot of activity then on the Facebook group, people offering support, keeping an eye on each other. And then even the social event the other day, we've tried social events a few years ago and we didn't get a great turnout, but there were lots more people this time. So I definitely think it's bringing us closer together as a community, and we're sort of checking on each other more.